a day, what no play. Oh, what a roller coaster. You've got 1,000 things to prove. Traffic crush, turtle rush. Oh, what a joy killer. That guy just didn't have a clue. Now it's over, you're rolling in clover. You made it, outplayed it. Call me up, let's talk about it. What a day, time to play. You're off the roller coaster. You got the facts, so talk to Max.
It's Radio Live with Mike. It is 8:07. Hopefully you have had a good day dealing with the deluge that we have been experiencing. So much rain. But here's a man who makes everything seem just a little bit better. If you want the facts, you go to Max, as the song says. How are you?
Good, Mike. That was a very good intro.
Nice.
Hey, listen, I was driving out of the drive tonight and there was my neighbours. There's 3 women out there cackling and giggling away having a drink. It's a beautiful night out there after all that rain. It's absolutely stunning. Nice. And then I hear they sing the, what is it they call it, the Aurora down the South Island right now?
Yes.
It's a night, it's a big night.
Is it?
Beautiful out there.
Okay, I didn't know that. Oh, no, I'd love to see that. You know, I lived in Southland. I saw, the odd one or two when I was travelling down the back roads. You'd think, oh, what is that? But I didn't, as a kid, didn't understand.
Well, Araha said before that Auckland had one.
Oh, okay, nice.
You haven't heard that?
No, I missed that too.
Oh, they're too busy listening to the radio and listening to you, Mike. That's why they didn't see it or report it to you.
Too busy trying to dodge cars on the road, I guess. So much traffic, you don't get the chance to look up. It's interesting when you leave a big city, isn't it, Max? And you all of a sudden see the stars. And you go, oh, that's right, there are stars up there.
Well, I go to my little country town of Eltham down in Taranaki, and just driving down there, the roads get quieter and quieter as you go. And it's kind of cool. You can actually drive at a speed you feel like comfortable at driving at, rather than the speed of the guy in front of you. I like that. Nice. But look up and see the stars, the calm sky.
Yep. There'll be a lot of people listening now that are driving through the back roads of New Zealand. They'll be exactly the same.
Keep eye on the road, thanks. Don't look at the stars.
How's your week been anyway? All right?
Oh, very good. Yes. No, it was always busy, but that's life as well. But we've got to cope. And yours?
Yeah, very good, actually. Yes, nice. I had a weekend. You know those times in your life where weekends just get filled up with socialising and doing things, and which is exciting. Every now and again you just want a weekend where you can just sit at home and do nothing. I had one of those. It was quite relaxing.
I don't know how you cope, Mike, because you're flat out in the morning, you're flat out at night, you do this show at night, you do the morning cafe. It's incredible. I mean, you must just get a lunch break and drop off.
Oh, yeah, no, I do. 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You do drop off.
Drop-off time. Sleep for an hour on the couch.
The time.
Yeah, it is siesta
Don't you
time.
Drop off in front of me tonight, all right? No allowed.
It's like I'm living in France. Oh, I need an afternoon nap. Like they do. That's why they eat and live so long. Anyway, it's 8:09. Max, of course, is our employment specialist. He can help us out, or you out tonight, if you've got any issues going on. 0800 844 747. Also, over the next hour, we take a look at an employment issue that has been discussed with the Employment Authority, and we give you the facts, and then you be the judge. You decide what happens next. So we've got a good one tonight too. Very interesting one, actually. Which
I think it is too.
Yeah, well, it makes you think about, I guess, systems you have in place and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable when it comes to time off. So that's a really
Well, do you remember last week we put it to people, if someone resigned and they changed their mind within 24 hours, is that fair? Can they withdraw their resignation? And the authority member, the chief of the authority member, said no. Then that caller, and I've checked up, the caller said if you've got a commercial contract, you get a 24-hour cooling off period.
That's right.
Yeah, but not with the employment law, according to the chief of the Employment Authority.
So if you hand in your resignation, make sure you're certain.
Absolutely. Wow. No second chances of that guy sort of observing over it. Though there's a thing of the heat of the moment. I'm not sure he was right with his decision. It should have been appealed, I think. But not anyone can afford an appeal to the court. But anyway, we got a one tonight, Mike. It's going to be great. He's on again. The same guy's made the same decision.
Oh, really? Okay, good. Okay, well, I like this. We'll give you this right now, and then you can text or you can phone. You can also text in or phone in with your questions. We've already got a text come in straight away, so someone's been waiting for you to get here, Max, which is good. But we'll do that in a minute. We'll set up you be the judge first. So listen to the facts with Max, and then you be the judge.
Oh, man, you said it so well.
Let's get into it. Okay, Daphne Hay worked for Gisborne District Council, and she'd been working there for a while. On the 24th of February, she contacted her employer, that's the council, and advised that she'd not be coming to work as she was ill. That seems pretty normal, doesn't it? But she was ill for quite a while, and she kept notifying them what had happened. But she notified them in this mic that she actually had a mental illness.
Okay.
Which, you listen to the rest of the story, and you might be sort of fit, so you wonder if there was some area of discrimination on her. But you don't know. So anyway, continued on. Then on the 2nd of April, she notified the council, she gave the council a letter from her psychologist, I beg your pardon, stating that she was ready to commence phased return on the 7th of April.
Okay, so she's been off since the 24th of February, right?
Yep.
Okay,
and
cool.
Back on the 7th of April, I'm ready to start work again. But council says, no, you're not. We don't agree with the medical report, and we want more information, please.
Okay.
That's really the hub of this question. Can the council do that? So anyway, she had to go off, and they demanded more information and another psychiatrist report, and it dragged on. I mean, to get these guys to write a report's pretty strong because they're so busy, I guess. So on the 14th of April, council received another medical report from a second psychologist. However, council still would not let Miss Hay return to work. So that's two psychologists saying she's fit for work.
Okay, so what was the date of that one again, sorry?
14th of July.
July, okay. So the 2nd of April, she provided the council with the letter saying that she was going to return from the 7th of April. They went back and said, no, we're not happy with that report. Can we do another one? And then they received that report on the 14th of July. So that's quite a bit of time, isn't it?
It was a long time. And now she's getting upset. She's not, she's not getting paid, but she's ready, willing and able to return to work. So she engages a lawyer. Lawyer starts writing letters, and the parties go off to mediation. We can't talk about what happens at mediation. I don't know either. It's not written in the decision.
Right.
But she suddenly returns to work on the 4th of August. Now, what she does, she goes off to the Employment Authority and says, hey, this is not fair. I should have been paid for that period of time. I'm ready, willing and able. The two psychologists said I'm ready to go, but council decided that I'm not good enough to return to work. I think I deserve to be paid for that period of time, and they haven't treated me in good faith.
Okay, so that period of time was between the 7th of April and the 4th of August, which is quite a lot of money, isn't
That's
it?
4 weeks,
Yeah.
4 months
Yeah,
pay.
that's a lot of money.
Yep, and she was ready to work. 4 months is a lot of money to me. I would hate to be out of work for that period of time. Now, the question for the listeners is this. Was council right to stop Miss Hay from working due to its dissatisfaction with the psychologist's medical clearance? Now, the psychologist made no bones about it. She was ready for work. Do they have rights to say, we know better and we want to get another report? Or should they not? Are they right to ask for more information?
That's a really interesting one, isn't it? I would assume, if I was the judge, and you can be the
you
judge
spoke
too.
for it. This is where he pays. He's got to sing me a song yet from last time.
I do. I'm going to pay up tonight too for you.
Oh,
actually.
great.
Yep,
I'm excited
you
now.
go. Yep. I would assume
Yes.
that because they said to her they weren't happy with the report she filed on the 7th of April and it took till the 14th of July, then I would assume that they should pay her for that period because that was their decision not to let her return to work. Can they be dissatisfied with the initial report? Well, I guess they can, but if they're the ones that are dissatisfied, then they are the ones that have to pay for the loss of work, I think, between the 7th of April and July the 14th. The other thing when you look at this case, Max, is when you take a bit of time off because you're ill, and then it starts becoming clear that there's a mental illness here, then I guess for the employer,
Yes.
you would start, I guess questioning whether or not she was fit for work, full stop, Well,
then the
no
question...
one wants to employ somebody that's taking time off for, I guess, mental issues. But is that discrimination?
Well, more importantly, does an employer have the right? I mean, she had weird behaviours, and they'd observed that, and that's what made them feel uncomfortable. So, but does an employer have a right to challenge a doctor's view and say, no, we don't accept your view, we want another one? Well, in fact, they didn't ask for another, they asked for more information. In other words, they wanted more medical information about an employee. I tell you what, Mike...
I don't think they do have the right to start questioning that, in all honesty.
Would you hand over everything? I mean, can an employer demand from an employee all their private medical information? Is it fair for the employee to have to hand that over?
Well,
What do you think the authority did?
I would say that the authority made that council pay up. and said, hey, you shouldn't have been so nosy. So we'll see what everybody else has to say on that one. 0800 844 747. That is a really interesting case, though. And this is a real case, too, isn't it?
It's a real one.
It's a
Yep.
real
Just
case.
recently, that decision's just recently come out by the chief of the Employment Authority. This is the second one in a row I've got of his up here, and it's interesting.
Okay, well, we'll find out what the ruling was. You be the judge in the meantime. 0800 844 747. That is our number. You can also text, use the keyword live, and send those to 3920. We'll come back and answer Aaron's question via the text in just a minute. It's Radio Live. It is 19 past 8. So nice to have your company here tonight. And this is the hour where you get free advice from Max Whitehead from the whiteheadgroup.co.nz. He's an employment specialist. So if you've got issues that you don't understand or you need a helping hand, this is the man that can help you out tonight. And it's a very popular segment, so don't delay. Get your calls in or your texts in right now. Speaking of which, we've got one already. Kia ora, Mike and Max. Oh, thank you for that. It's nice. I handed, isn't it? Nice.
Eminem, yep, good man.
Eminem, good work. I handed in my 2-week notice period on Monday, and I was wondering, if I've worked 3 months of the year, am I entitled to 1 week annual out of my 4 weeks? If so, is that under a section of the Holiday Act that I could quote to the boss if he disputes it? And that is from Aaron. So what's he saying there? Is he saying, do I get 1 week's holiday for the 3 months that I've already worked?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the way the calculation works, it's not a week's holiday. What you get is 8% of your gross earnings, which works out to a week's holiday,
Okay,
roughly.
right.
So it might be a bit more, a bit less, but it's a fraction, right? Now, I can't remember off the what number of the Holidays
Holiday
Act it's part
yep.
of. You can quote the Holidays Act, you can quote me, but if not, give me a call tomorrow, and I will give you that direct number, the clause number. So give me a call on 0800 247 9393.
So can he get that? Is he entitled to the 1 week annual out of his 4
Absolutely.
weeks?
If his- if his employer doesn't pay that, he'd be in breach of the Holidays Act, and you could certainly follow it up with severe penalties and all sorts of things.
Oh, well, there you go, Aaron. That'll be good news to hear tonight, won't it? He's like, yes, I just scored myself.
So give me an email tomorrow,
Yeah.
Aaron, if you want to. It's max.w@whiteheadgroup.co.nz.
Nice work. Okay, let's go to Phil, who's on the phone. Evening, Phil. How are you?
Hey, Phil, so good to hear from you.
Thank you. I'm just ringing up about the be the judge question.
Oh, yes.
good man,
Good man. What do you
good.
reckon?
Is Mike right?
I would suspect that, Mike, you're right in that the employer has to pay out for that period where she wasn't working because it was their decision to ask for more information. But I'd also say that the employer is well within their rights to ask for more information, considering it could affect her ability to do the job that she was hired to do. And so, they need more information to make an informed decision on if she's the best candidate to be employed for them.
Oh, good logic, Phil. So what you're saying, an employer has a right to ask for more information. But, Phil, can I ask you this? Do you think it's right that they know lots about your medical condition, or do they just need to know if you're able to work or not?
I think they need to know, especially when it's a mental condition, how it affects you and
Yes.
how it could affect the way that you're going to work. And that could be more detailed information on, whether it's going to give you tics or that might be inappropriate in a public sector, or if it's going to affect your concentration, or things like that, which that might be included under greater information. Then sort of they have this.
I think you're spot on with that, with my view as well, because this woman worked in the, I think it was where they give WAFs, warrant of fitnesses on cars. So she worked in this sort of an area of that, so she was going in front of the public. And so, you would think a psychiatrist would be aware of that. You think he would be giving advice, but, obviously...
But then I guess, when you go and get some renovations done, you don't just take the first quote, do you? You get a few others just to make sure.
But when does
like
it
a
stop?
Psychologist, then you'd have to ask around a couple of others just to make sure that their diagnosis was correct. It could be a friend of hers just writing a letter. You never
but
know.
Phil's saying, aren't you, Phil, that more information is got. It's not a matter of getting the best quote. I not quite like that, Mike. But what Phil's saying, and what you're saying, he's right to get more information, provided it's related to what they do at work. Is that what you're saying, Phil?
Yeah, that's exactly. I don't think that her full medical history should be disclosed. So if there were events earlier, so that she was hospitalised because of her condition, I don't think that's applicable.
Yep.
But if it's applicable to how she carries out her job, that's definitely, I think they're well within their rights to ask.
Oh, nice. Okay, and you agree with me on the fact that she should have been paid between the 7th of April and the 14th of July, since they were the ones that requested more information.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
Do you know, with mental illness, there must be a lot of stuff in there you wouldn't want anyone to know about. You know, you share with your
that's
doctor,
right.
and that should be confidential. I think that's what Phil's saying as well. I quite like what you're saying, Phil.
He's a well-measured man, Phil, isn't he?
Hope you're not in my
Well,
business. You
Lord, so-
might be pushing me around.
Hey, good on you, Phil. You have a good night.
You too, guys. Bye.
All right, see ya.
We'll find out soon, Phil, who's right and who's wrong. Don't. If I was a boss, though, I'd want to know as much as I could about somebody's.
But is it your right to, you know?
Well, because there could be issues that have gone on years ago that could resurface in the job, which makes you think, well, maybe are they suitable for this particular job? I guess case by case, but yeah, I'd want to know. I think if I was a boss,
I think there's a lot
Jeez,
of.
I'd be a hard boss.
It might be, but I mean, I think the only a boss is entitled to know what's going to affect the workplace only. But if you've had a sexual disease in your past and you've got it cleaned up, does the boss need to know about that? Unless, no, I'm just thinking of a brothel. Because that's a legitimate business. He probably does need to know then.
True.
But otherwise, I don't think they would have to know.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, eh? I wonder what your privacy is when it comes to this.
I wonder.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go. Thank you so much. Let's go to Craig. Craig, good evening. How are you?
Mike, there's no pill out there to stop you, being a person from Gore, but never mind.
Geez, and every time Max is in here, Craig, and I pass my ill-informed judgments, I often think I'd be the worst boss in the world, wouldn't I?
Has he been trained in Gore, Craig? You come from down that way, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I'm just over the border. Well, the funny thing is, Mike is actually from West Otago, but he keeps shouting that he's from Southland, so we'll just leave it at that.
That's because no one knows who West Otago is, Craig.
You're just worried he might be a relative of yours.
Well, we potentially could
No.
be. I'll cut it out. Okay, you be the judge.
I bet you
then,
Craig's wealthy and he's worried about his inheritance going to you, Mike.
Oh, don't, I've got nothing, Craig. Don't worry about that. You be the judge. What do you reckon?
I reckon there's only one bit of information that we haven't got,
Yes.
and that is when she signed her contract with the council. There's a wee thing there saying, "Have you got any medical illnesses?" And you've got to write down every single one that you've got.
Good
and
point.
medication that you're taking for it and all that sort of thing. So we don't know if she's depressed. We don't know if she's got a tic. We don't know if she's doing funny things with her hands and all that sort of thing. But most councils, they wouldn't really put a person like that in the public sector or public eye anyway. But as far as I'm concerned, the psychologist, who's a man that knows what he's doing, who's independent, has given her the okay, and the council say, no, we know better. When they don't, they're the ones at fault. And you can't be discriminated against anyway. If you've already signed a contract, they've signed a contract, and everybody's happy about it.
So she went back. She went back and she said, "Well, you should pay me for the period between the 7th of April and the 14th of July." Craig, what do you reckon? Should they have been paying her?
Yep, they should have been.
They reckon they should have.
It was their decision to get a second opinion.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I thought too. Yeah.
Do you know, Craig, just to answer your first part of the question, that doesn't mention her history, medical history, other than to say that her behaviour was out of character. So when she did have a mental, I guess, breakdown, she went out of character. So I would say that she's probably
Yeah, but-
clean till that point.
Yeah, that's right. But also, she went to the doctor,
Yeah.
got the opinion, etc. She's done all her homework correct. And
Yeah.
she's also let the employer know what the story was and give them letters,
Yeah, and it's true.
And they didn't agree with them. So obviously they're better psychologists than our psychologist is, and they wanted a second opinion. And then it all blew up, and they had to go to mediation, and I still think, yep.
Do you know what, Craig? I'm impressed with you. You've been listening to every word we said about that. I mean, a comprehensive test, you'd get a 10 out of 10 for that. So well done. And I know you're a truckie, and I reckon I've got this philosophy about truck drivers. They think. You guys got a lot of time on your hands when you're driving that
I was
truck.
just going to say that's because they're concentrating on the roads, the mind's ticking over. as
It
they
is.
listen to
It
the
is.
radio.
I know this
Yeah.
guy because he does think, and there's a lot of them out there do. I get calls from them, and man, they've analysed and considered a lot of things. So well done, Craig.
Yeah, but there's one thing. I just wish our employers would ask the drivers instead of consultants for ideas, and it would have cost them nothing rather than thousands.
Oh, I think there's another story here.
The same thing again.
Yeah, no, why do they do that? Yeah, you're right. Hey, Craig, you have a good night. Thanks for your call.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate
the
it.
call, Craig.
Yeah, why do they do that? You know, businesses get consultants.
I
in.
tell you
Just
why.
ask your own
The
staff.
councils do it all the time. Do you know why? Because then they don't make mistakes. The consultant does.
Okay.
So they employ someone to make their decision, and then they say, "Oh, he made it. Not our fault, boss."
Well, yes, consultants.
Consultants. You know.
I've seen a lot of them.
Do you
in
know what
my
I do for
time
a
in
job?
Radio.
Do you know what I do for a job?
What do you do?
Consult.
Consultants.
The low lives of society, like lawyers.
Well, we had this guy on radio once. He just basically flew in every 6 months and sat down and listened to a tape or a recording of your radio show and would go, "Oh yeah, no, you guys are doing pretty good. Yeah, that's good."
That's probably $5,000 or $8,000 just for that.
That's what I was thinking. So, thank you. On the odd occasion, he would say,
Is that
no.
your new job? Is that your wannabe job?
Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
Do you imagine flicking off to the States to analyse theirs? But
imagine the fun.
in fact, you know what they'll do? Just tune in from here, Mike, will you?
Oh, obviously
That would
that's-
ruin all your fun.
Oh, stop it, Max. You're too clever. It is, it is,
I don't think so.
Actually, that's a good point. Why did the consultant have to fly? Could have just done it over Skype, really. Anyway, it's 8:30. It's Radio Live.
I'm Max, the employment law expert on Radio Live.
Are we obliged to sign a new job description every year?
Text here. So I run a medium-sized business using 90-day periods. Can I terminate without reason?
In the contract, it says they can reduce anything they want. Isn't that 0 hours contract?
The employee can choose not to come in, then guaranteed hours don't apply. Is that correct?
I'll answer all the employment questions 8 to 9 every Wednesday.
You got the facts, so talk to Max.
It's Radio Live, 29 to 9. Thank you very much, Araha. Clearly very wet. We'll keep you updated with everything that's going on. How's your employment issue?
I missed the beginning. I know it's got something to do with mental health. How's my employment? Fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Mental health and employment comes into one conversation, one sentence with you.
Yes, it's all. Well, it's you don't. I don't believe in leaving half of yourself at the door. So I've worked in places where they expected you
Full
to turn up. And,
disclosure, yeah.
Well, in this industry, what happens is you get put into a little bit of a pressure cooker. So you're asked to come in and be the performing monkey at a very high rate, high level of animation and exhaust yourself. It's like running a sprint for 4 hours.
There's only 300,000 people listening to you, yeah.
Yeah, but you're asked to perform at these really high levels, huge intensity, but they don't want to look after what happens to the human being when they walk out of that. It's we don't have a stage in our industry. This is our stage in here, and no one gets to see it, so it gets ignored. Whereas you've got television, film stars, stage stars who have maybe better ways of looking after their talent. So I've always believed that when it comes to mental health, it's human health all round.
So what are you saying is that perhaps in areas like this where there's a bit of stress involved, that you should be measured mentally as you leave the studio?
Tell you what, the most incredible performers in broadcasting have always been the most...
Yes.
Manic?
We're looking at Mike here. Mike's the
No, but
radio star.
I'm thinking all the people I'm thinking of know Mike really well. And worked with them before.
You got to be mad to be on radio. Is that what it is?
Well,
I think there's an element of that, Max.
Mad Mike.
you're asking people to come in here and be smarter, faster, quicker, wittier, more animated, more knowledgeable.
She's just described herself.
Yes, and but that's what you're asking is you don't want to go and watch a play of average, of
Yeah.
the guys who live on your street rolling around reading words off the paper. You want to see the best if you're paying money, and that's what you expect in, well, I would think your bosses expect in radio and performing as well. So you want that level of performance. You must deliver that level of care, because off stage, the person gets ready to go back on stage, and it's a circle. So I think mental wellness is what what we should be talking about as a society, is whole well-being.
When, and you look at this case here, Araha, from the Gisborne District Council. She was clearly suffering some form of mental illness. She took some time off. Her psychologist came back with a letter saying that she is ready to return to work, and then the council turn around and go, "Oh, we're not happy with that letter. Can you go away and get
They didn't like
some
the
more
doctor's letter."
advice?" So, how much does a workplace have to know about what's going on in your life do they have a right to say, I want you to go away and get some more medical certificates?
Well, they can have a right to do anything if it's in your contract. If they've got you to
Right,
sign off
okay.
on something, I don't know what was written in her individual employment contract.
And I
but,
don't know about that. I think there's certain areas that they're not allowed to know. I mean, I think
sure.
I'm not going to tell them what my private life's about, my employer.
But if it's
He's a nosy bugger
if it's
too.
to affect your job, I mean, you can say the same thing about
But
drug
it affects
testing.
your job, yes, absolutely.
So if you're in an industry like this, where basically our whole job we can do in a full body cast, right? We can sit here. We don't have to push any buttons. We don't have to do. All we have to do is be able to talk. We can do the whole thing full body cast, and in fact, we're we're martyrs like that. Broadcasters will work through anything, but the thing they can't work through is when the words stop, and that is around your mental well-being. It's
yes.
a really big deal for
But you know,
our-
it's
I've had
hard
a
to
lot
measure
of work
mental
colleagues
well-being
on that.
either.
Well,
How do you measure it? And that's not easy. I mean, I've been through enough of this with people with mental problems in the workplace, and the doctors can't look at a person and take a snapshot and say, oh, you're well or you're sick. It takes a long time to analyse them and look at them, make sure they're fine.
Everybody's on a spectrum. That's like sexuality. It's like, you know.
Oh, God. We're
But
in
no,
sex.
but you know, those are the things. People don't like to talk about taboo subjects, but all of those things are quite fluid and they sit on a spectrum. All of those things that are hard to talk about sit on a spectrum. You don't have to be a thing.
You know, it can be as simple as, I guess, breakups in your personal relationships. That affects the way you do your job every day if you're going through it.
Oh,
you know.
absolutely.
Can you go to your boss and say, oh, look, I'm going through a rough time at the moment. You know, the missus has left me. I'm not well to work. Can I have some time off? Would that be acceptable to a boss? So that's why it has to be a holistic approach to
Depends
it.
whether you've
And
got
I
a
think,
misogynist or not.
Sorry. Anaha's comment about a spectrum is correct because it's an employer is supposed to give consideration for that, but how far do they tolerate? And that's, again, it's a matter of degree.
Nice. Okay, well, you know, it's a great subject to talk about. Thanks, Aroha. Radio Live, Mike and Max, M and M. You be the judge on this particular case.
M&M.
If you haven't heard it, I'll give you the debrief. On the 24th of February 2014, Ms. Hay contacted her employer, the Gisborne Council, and advised that she would not be coming to work as she was ill. Ms. Hay kept her employer well informed during the absence, including the fact she was mentally unwell. On the 2nd of April, so a bit of time has passed,
Yep.
Ms. Hay provided the council with a letter from her psychologist stating that she was ready to commence a phased return to work from the 7th of April. The council replied stating they required a more detailed medical report before she could return to work. On the 14th of July, so you can think of the time that's passed there, what's that, 2 months? Roughly 2 months.
Yep.
On the 14th of July, the council received another medical clearance from a second psychologist. However, council would still not let Miss Hay return to work. Eventually, she returned to work after some mediation on the 4th of August. Now, she is claiming for lost wages from the 7th of April until the 4th of August, when her original psychologist provided a medical clearance. I think that's probably fair enough. You be the judge. Is she entitled to that? But the other question we're asking tonight is, how much does the employer have to know?
Do you know what's interesting about this is most employers have to deal with a case where people pretend they're sick or they're off work for a reason, and they come back with a medical certificate even a week later. They go, well, I was off last week, boss. I just ducked into the doctor today and got one for last week. And your doctor analysed you and gave you, yep, but I'm fine. But how did they? Well, they did. They wrote out a certificate. So a bit of credibility for doctors gets challenged. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mike, I've just got.
They can easily write out those certificates.
Can I just duck it? I've got a couple of issues here. Some excuses people have for being off sick. I've got a little list. Can I read it out?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Wait for this. I think some of this is great. The reason for this guy didn't go to work, it's my dog's birthday, and I had to arrange a party for him. So imagine telling your boss that. My friend's on annual leave, so I had to. I couldn't get a lift. That's one reason why you couldn't get to work. So is that a reason to get the day off?
No.
This one you probably hear out quite often. I got arrested.
Oh, well, I would, I'd probably give somebody the day off if they got arrested, but I'd like to see the proof.
I'll tell you what, if I was the boss, I'd be saying, isn't my business going to be affected from this? Are you going to go through the courts and I'm going to see it in the paper? The other one said, hey, boss, I can't come in. Why not? Why can't you come in? Well, I'm too drunk to drive.
That's not a good excuse.
I've got to say, no wonder these poor employers don't trust doctors or anything.
Well, maybe these people are being honest, which is probably a good thing, isn't it?
Well, this other guy says, the reason I'm not coming in today is that my trousers are in the wash and I've only got one pair.
Okay, well, they had some pretty weak
I'd say
excuses
so.
for being sick.
So you've got to forgive employers for being sceptical, I think, to some degree.
Yeah, and that's the issue, isn't it? Most of the bosses I've had have been pretty good when I've had issues going on.
I've never known you to be sick.
I usually work through sickness, but no, external issues,
Right.
I went through a pretty bad breakup. It was the first one that I'd had after a long-term relationship. And
That can be tough, yeah.
They were pretty good about it, gave me at least a couple of days off.
An hour. That's enough for you, yeah.
Yeah, right now, your broken heart fixed. Good, come back to work.
When I was a young fellow, I couldn't dare tell my boss that was an issue why I couldn't go to work. In fact, I went to work. My heart was broken over something. And I wouldn't even tell him because he would just laugh at me and tell me to harden up.
Well, see, I think things have changed
Just a
slightly.
tad.
Well, you'd hope, wouldn't you? Okay, I've got a couple of texts to get through, so we'll check in with them in just a minute. Have you got any issues going on with your employment? It could be as simple as holiday pay. It could be as simple as your boss not understanding your sickness. 0800 844 747, or you can text, use the keyword live and send those to 3920. We're back with your texts for Max to answer in just a minute. It's Radio Live. It is 16 to 9. Max is here from the Whitehead Group, and a while ago I lost a bet with Max, and he said that I had to sing his jingle.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, no, so I'm gonna give you a run through now, okay? 0800 247 93 93. That is your...
You're going to sing my phone number.
Yeah,
Wait
okay.
for this.
Okay, I know. I hope this works.
All right. Oh, you got music.
Are you ready?
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Woo.
I missed the bit. Okay, here we go. I have to start it. I have to wait for the beat. All right, here we go. Here's... 0800 247 93 93. Just call Max. Just call Max. That's it. That's what you're getting. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Song at the moment.
Oh, man.
I told you I'd pay up. Right, yeah, let's get to your
Arden,
text.
that's going on my Facebook. That's fantastic.
I could have done that better. I should have pre-recorded it.
You've got a, I mean, you've got a happy voice, but you sung so deep there. Where did you get that from?
I don't know. Just sometimes.
Oh, well, that's a keeper.
Sometimes things just, happen. Anyway, hi, Mike and Max. My wife has been working for a temp agency for 3 years and getting 40 hours every week. How long do you have to wait before you're made full-time? Thanks, Paul. So she's working for a temp agency for 3 years. That's a long temporary work employment.
We've had this. Do you remember last time where we found that people were getting paid as you go because they're only temporary and been there for over 12 months? Well, they're entitled to get paid at holiday pay again. So I'm hoping that 3 years is way over the top. So I would suggest if the courts looked at this, they would say that she is a permanent employee.
Right.
And you bear that in mind, because if they try to stop that contract just abruptly without any good reason, you've probably got a damn good case to take that on.
Wow, so
3
you're 3
years.
years at 40 hours every week. How long do you have to wait before you're made full-time?
Now, the other point to check is your holidays. If you've been paid as you go, well, then you can obviously claim again those holidays and ask for the time off on pay.
Right, okay, well, there you go. I hope that helps you, Paul. Thank you so much for sending in that text. I've been a bit like that too recently. Just, I'm not full-time around here. Sometimes it feels like it, though.
I think there'd be a panic if he didn't turn up, though, and God.
True. There's always somebody waiting to get in the door.
Right.
Okay, another text.
Yes.
This is regarding You Be the Judge. Here's what Amy says.
What a wonderful singer.
The council should have paid for the second appointment because they failed to ask the employee to get the correct info at her first appointment when she was keeping them updated.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The council needs to pay from the time they said, no, we need more info, till when she came back. So she's agreeing with what I reckon. If your psychologist says she's ready to come back to work, here you go, this is the time she can start, and the boss says, no, not happy with that, go and get another report. They pay for that second report, so they can't, say, use it again and go, I'm not happy with that one, because they could probably keep doing that. And B, she should have been paid until she got back to work.
I'd like to know, and if the decisions know nothing there, or what information that the they wanted to know. What did they want to know? Because the psychiatrist wrote a letter, not just a medical certificate, wrote a letter to them saying that this person's fit and well and should come back to work in a bit more of a gentle pace and then give them, full time. So and why did they need to know that more information?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and you can be the judge. We're going to tell you what the ruling was
We will.
before 9 o'clock tonight. Okay, another text has come in. I gave a month's notice to my employer on Friday. He immediately stripped me of my computer access to the office.
Oh.
He then told me to go home and not contact the clients. On Monday, he emailed me wanting my bonus paid back to him. I don't have a written employment agreement. So this one's pretty messy, isn't it?
No, it's straightforward. I can tell you that that is constructive dismissal.
Is it?
They have stripped that person of all their tools of work.
Mm-hmm.
They've made them unable to work even if they wanted to, unless the contract, and there's no contract. So they have an obligation to provide work. There's two fundamentals. An
Yes.
employee is required to provide labour and work, and the employer is to provide wages, and those are fundamentals in employment. So the employer actually has to provide work.
Okay.
Actually, you've got to listen to this because that fits with our You Be the Judge tonight. And so they failed in that regard. That employee can say, I was dismissed a month early, even though they were paid.
Okay, well, I hope that
Constructively
helps you.
dismissed.
Okay, nice. Well, there you go. Geez,
Yeah.
you knew the answer to that one. There you go. You see,
Oh,
you
it's
want
quite
the
relevant.
facts,
I've got a
you go
case.
to Max.
I've got a case running on this sort of one right now too.
Nice work. Okay, well, Max, because it's quite wet, there are a lot of shops at the moment that are shutting their doors. They're not able to open. You know, you look at Whanganui at the moment.
Yes.
They're going through that issue where a lot of shops closed earlier than predicted because of flooding. Some places ended up getting flooded.
17.5 metres. Can I talk to you about that? How do you measure that? That would be over the top of shops in Wanganui City, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know how deep the river is there, so I guess it's
Right
hard
up
to
on the
put a-
base of that, but it goes up. Was it risen? No, the height was 17.5. But what does it start from? Yeah, that's a good point.
That's right. I mean, the river could be flowing at 10 metres, on average.
Yeah.
So then if it's 17 metres high, it's gone up 7 metres. But you're right. When you look at it, you think 17 metres. That's crazy. No, but it's from the base of the riverbed, I would imagine.
So there's a flat surface about where the say the river's 5 metres deep, and there's a flat surface thereafter. Well, you're never going to get any higher than 5 metres, are you? So how do they measure this? I really don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, okay, let's just assume that they have measured it correctly and it floods,
Okay.
and then you can't go to work. What happens then? As somebody that works in a shop,
Which
do you
is
get
real
paid?
right now.
Yeah.
Which is quite real. If anybody's out there and you can't work because of natural disaster, because of the flood, and your boss can't provide you work, should you expect to be paid? The answer to that is really what I said before, yes. You're contracted to your employers to provide you with pay. So you're finding more and more today, particularly as the way things are going, employers are putting a clause in their contracts saying, if we have a natural disaster and we can't provide you work, we won't be able to pay you.
Okay.
But that the negative is the default. That means if they haven't got that in, they've got to keep paying you.
And what happens if the shop's flooded? Like, you look at those shops in New Lynn that flooded, a month ago. If they never open their doors again, or they're still trying to fix the shop and say 2 or 3 months has gone past,
Yeah.
who pays the wages of the employers then?
This is real because this is what happened in Christchurch. I was here with Karen in those days, but people were phoning up saying, my employer's gone. He's still around, but his business is gone. I feel sorry for him. He's lost everything. And, of course, he can't employ me. Can I expect wages from that guy? And the answer to that was, yes, you can. So that eventually, if the employer can't get their business on the knees, up off its knees quick enough, they can actually make them redundant. So the employee will end up losing their job. But in the interim, the employer is required to pay them. Now, do you remember in Christchurch, the government stepped in and actually said, we will pay the staff for a period of time?
And I was just going to ask you that. So I guess that's what those packages are when there is a natural disaster that the government gives. So as a boss who owns a cafe that's out of business for 3 months because it needs to be rebuilt, you could apply if the government was offering assistance to get money from the government.
Do you know
to
what we're
help
doing
cover
here,
that.
Mike? We're giving the government a headache. So anyone out there's been flooded, every boss now will be saying, Mike and Max said the government's going to give us a handout. Well, they did it as a special one for Christchurch.
Right.
But they have helped out in the past, but I don't know if they'll step in straight away.
Because
for
you can
everyone.
understand how tough it is for the owners of a business, because if they're not actually getting customers through the door because their business is flooded, then they're not going to have the money
Yeah.
to pay the wages. Do some businesses have insurance for that sort of carry-on?
And they do.
They do.
A lot of them
Okay,
do.
right.
Not all, but I mean, they should carry insurance for that. But I mean, obviously, you know what's happened in Christchurch again with the insurance companies. It's not always been easy to get the payment out of the insurance company. So it's up to how good an insurance company they've got and how they've insured themselves. But the other thing is for staff, you can ask your boss to pay you continually until you're dismissed or actually notified that your job's finished.
Okay, well, there you go. Handy information as the country deals with a whole lot of flooding at the moment. We will keep you updated with the flooding at 9 o'clock. Otaha has the latest. Of course, there's still a few rivers around the country that still need to peak. Whanganui at the moment, it looks as though tomorrow morning there could be some more dramas, but of course you never know. Overnight, anything could happen. We have teams up and down the country to let you know what is going on. So we definitely will. And if you spot anything, make sure you let us know. 0800 844 747. It is 7 to 9. Back with the ruling on You Be the Judge. Were you right in what you thought? If you were just playing this game at home, you will find out next. It is Radio Live. It is 3 to 9. Somebody's just phoned us for a bit of advice, so let's go to them, see if we can help them out before the ruling of You Be the Judge. Richard, this is Max.
Hey, Richard.
Well, good evening, Max. Just a query I'm phoning on behalf of my father.
Yeah.
He's been on ACC and medical certificates for the last couple of months. He works for a fairly big company. And he returned to work last week, and within an hour of him returning to work, he was told his services are no longer required for him.
Well, that's an unjustified dismissal. I can tell you straight off, because he's supposed to have gone through a process, no matter what the reason was. I mean, you can sue him for unjustified dismissal for that.
Yeah, I tell you what. Hey, Richard, I will put you on hold because your phone's just cutting in and out there a little, and we'll give you Max's phone number and his email, and you can follow this up tomorrow with Max.
Happy to help you tomorrow.
Because Max will help. He loves doing that. We just need to do the ruling before you go on this case. You be the judge. So the lady took some time off, and then she had some letter. I mean, if you don't know the story, then you're not going to understand the ending, but we don't have time to go through it all. But should she have been paid between the 7th and the 4th of August when her original psychologist provided a medical clearance? What did the council say?
The Chief of the Employment Authority said in his decision that the council behaved, wait for this, entirely properly.
What?
And Miss Hayes' case failed.
No way.
I can't believe it either. I really can't. Do you know what this means, Mike? Do you know what this actually means? That employers can challenge a doctor's opinion anytime and forbid someone to go to work and stop being paid.
That's ridiculous.
Well, they might say, I think so. I think it is the chief of the...
Who's in charge? Is it the chief of the Employment Authority?
The chief of the Employment Authority. It's the second week running of these decisions. I think are a little bit strange. That one is. I would love this one to be appealed.
Well, let's appeal it.
I mean, why can an employer say, I don't accept a medical expert's opinion when they're not a medical expert?
And that has some wide-ranging ramifications for everybody else, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
That is a fascinating case. Okay, so there you go. I was wrong. I thought you would have got
But you
paid
sang
for
my
that,
song
Cap.
beautifully
I
tonight.
did.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a wonderful singer, Mike Barry!
Max, thank you so much. ydgroup.co.nz. Always a pleasure. We'll catch you
I love it
next
coming
week.
here. Good night, everybody.
Have a safe journey home.
I'm Max, the employment law expert on Radio Live.
Are we obliged to sign a new job description every year?
Text here. So I run a medium-sized business using 90-day periods. Can I terminate without reason?
In the contract, it says they can reduce anything they want. Isn't that 0 hours contract?
The employee can choose not to come in, then guaranteed hours don't apply. Is that correct?
I'll answer all the employment questions 8 to 9 every Wednesday.
You got the facts, so talk to Max.